Hi everyone, welcome back. So this week I want to share 5 things that you can do to help reduce the slice with the driver. Now I can't talk about this enough, but this question is probably asked more than anything else. And if you have a round tomorrow or next week and you don't have time to go to the range, then trying to apply any one of these 5 things should greatly reduce the odds of you slicing the golf ball. And be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and if you are visiting my channel for the first time, please subscribe to see more golf-related content in the future. So for those of you who may be unaware as to why you're slicing the driver, always remember that your club face is probably very open relative to the direction that you're swinging the club. So if you are a right-handed player, it is very likely that you're swinging across and to the left of the ball with a very open club face. So your goal is to shift the swing direction more out to the right with a more closed club face. Now, when it comes to controlling how open or closed the club face is, you always start off with the grip. So I have a marker here, and I'm going to draw 2 dots on my palm, or my lead palm, and then show you where to place those dots on the grip. And that should change your hand position or give you a guide on how to place your lead hand on the grip correctly. So the first dot on the palm, you're going to want to place right on the meat of your palm, kind of right in the center. Okay, so if I go ahead and draw a dot there, okay, that's where it should be, right in the middle of the meat of the palm there. Okay, now the second is if you look at your lead thumb, okay, and you just extend out your thumb like that, you'll see like a gap between the joints there. Okay, you can see the two bones kind of right between that. That's where you're going to place the dot, just right there. So it should look something like this. Okay, or just kind of straight along the thumb, but kind of near the wrist. All right. So again, once you have that dot that's on your palm there, okay, so you're going to place that dot directly on the front of the handle, okay? So a lot of people make the mistake by gripping it first and then trying to adjust it, but I want you to place that dot on the front first. So it'll be like almost as if you're putting your palm down on the front of the grip first. Then you're going to grip it in your fingers, okay? The left thumb should be not down the center of the shaft or the grip, but a little bit more along the side, okay? Now, when you look down at the dot that was over your thumb, that should be appearing more to the right of your grip or along the right edge of your grip. If you look down and that dot is kind of more along the center of your grip, okay, or even to the left of your grip, your lead hand is not strong enough, okay? So again, that dot in your palm, place it on the front of the handle first, then the fingers, okay? Make sure that dot is along the right edge. So that's going to make your grip a lot more strong, and it's going to make it much easier for you to close the club face through impact so that you reduce the slice. Okay, so number 2 is I want you to pay attention to where your upper body is relative to your lower body. Okay, now the biggest mistake that I see with a lot of players, with driver especially, is when they get to the top, they try to make this big swing, but they get their shoulders more towards the target or more to the left relative to where their hip is. Okay. Now, if your goal is to get the swing direction more on an in to out path to help reduce the slice, if you get your body in this position, or what's more called the reverse pivot position, it's very difficult, almost impossible, for you to get the club swinging in to out. So you're very likely to swing the club more out to in, which is what we don't want. That's going to create more of a slice. So when you take it back, just be aware that you want to keep your upper body more away from the target relative to where your lower body is. So if you feel like you are a golfer that gets to the top and has a more of a reverse pivot position, then the feeling that you'll need to have is that as your hips move more towards the target in the backswing, you're going to want to feel like your upper body turns more away from the target or more behind the golf ball. Okay, so instead of looking like this, okay, hips moving away from the target, upper body moving more towards the target, you want to feel the opposite. So hips left, and you turn more away from the golf ball. So you see how my upper body is a bit more behind my lower body? So the only thing to be careful of is when you're getting your hip to move more towards the target and you're getting your upper body turning more away from the ball, I don't want you to physically move your weight more into your trail side. Okay, so your weight should feel still fairly centered okay? But you just want to make sure that the buttons of your shirt is more to the right than your belt, okay? And it doesn't have to be a lot either. You don't want to make such a huge separation, but you want to make sure that there is a little bit of that separation, okay? So that'll give you a fighting chance to change your swing direction. So it should look something like this. So number 3 is to control the club face, or the club face is pointed in the backswing. So again, I mentioned this before in previous videos, but when you take it back, you want that club face to be angled more down towards the ground. Okay? If you have the club face either pointing to the side or even slightly open this way, you have a very open club face, and that's going to influence your position at the top. So if you take it back with an open face like this, when you get to the top, your lead wrist will probably be very cupped, okay? And that's going to make your swing direction or influence your swing direction to be more out and across the ball. Whereas if you keep the club face more down, okay, or more square or closed, when you get to the top, it's going to feel like your lead wrist is more flat or bowed. And that's, again, going to help influence the swing direction to be more into out. Now, if you know that your club face really, really opens up in the backswing, in order for you to get in the correct position, the feeling that you'll need is that the club face continuously turns more down towards the ground. Okay? So I don't want you just to angle the face down. I want you to feel as though the club face continues to turn more down towards the ground in the backswing. Okay? I know that's a really exaggerated feel, but again, if you're someone that does this, really, really opens the face up, then feeling this exaggerated position is actually going to get you closer to the position that you're actually trying to get to. So if you can get over that feeling and make sure that the club face does not open up in the backswing, then your chances of getting the club face more closed is a lot higher. So number 4 is to actually control how much the club face is closing after impact. So a lot of players with the driver, what I see is that after they strike the golf ball, they're keeping their lead hand above the trail hand, and I see a wide gap between the elbows. So anytime you see the lead hand or the lead wrist stay above the trail wrist too long, you're effectively keeping the club face open through impact. Okay, so what I want you to do instead is I want you to get the toe of the club to overtake the heel at a faster rate. Okay, so the way that you're going to do that is you're going to focus on what your forearms are going to be doing through impact. So when you come down, you must straighten out your trail arm, okay, and make sure that the right forearm or your trail forearm rolls more above the lead forearm. Okay, so you can see that as I go through, both my arms are straight, especially my lead arm. There's very little space between my elbows, okay? And as a drill, you can actually even get the forearms of both arms to kind of touch each other. So very little space like this, okay? You don't want that lead wrist above. Instead, you want to see the forearms touching each other, the right forearm above the left forearm, okay? And you should actually probably even see the left wrist or the lead wrist below the trail wrist. So if you have some time to warm up before the round, okay, so just make sure the toe of the club overtakes the heel, and you can see both my arms are really, really straight, just at the chest high. Both my forearms are touching with my right forearm rolled over the left. And last but not least, tip number 5 is to pay attention to where you're striking it on the club face. So the slicers of the golf ball will tend to strike closer towards the heel. And if you don't know about this, then you can grab some face tape, you can buy some spray, put it on your club face and hit some shots just to figure out where exactly you're hitting it. If the majority of your shots are along the heel, then try your best to hit closer towards the center or even closer towards the toe. Just because the way that the clubs are designed nowadays, if you hit closer towards the toe of the face, it's going to create more of a draw. So if you do feel like you are someone that strikes it more so on the heel, again, just remember that the fact that you swing it over the top and across the golf ball, that's going to drive the heel into the ball first. Or if you have the club face really open, that's also going to make the heel of the club strike the ball first as well. So you might notice a station that I've placed on here, and I have a noodle that's right along kind of the outer edge of the club. Okay, and you can set this up on the range. Use something that's elevated, okay, and don't cheat by putting the noodle kind of really far outside where the club head is. Put it really tight right up against that glove face so that if you make any mistake or drive the club face any bit outside the ball, you're gonna have some feedback, or you're gonna hit the noodle, obviously. So if you don't want to hit the heel, then the only way to do that is to kind of strike the ball without touching that noodle. Okay, so it'll look something like this on the range if you can set it up. Okay, so if you can do that, then definitely you're not going to drive the heel of the club into the golf ball. And if you're striking closer to the center or even closer to the toe, that's going to eliminate or reduce the slice dramatically. All right, thanks so much for watching. So remember, if you are in a pinch off the tee and you cannot slice it, try one of these 5 things and let me know what you guys think. You can follow me on my Instagram at Jonathan K. Moss if you want to inquire about my online lessons. I will also leave a link to my website in the description box below as well. But other than that, I will see you guys next week.